Yeah, with Thursday's game, there's a lot at stake. We played, I thought, one of our better games of the year at Middle Tennessee, and it was a battle for first place, and we were able to win that game and get rewarded with another first place game. And so this game is an opportunity to play for first place, and if we win it, have an outright lead in the league, which would be a huge positive going into the last 3 games. But Marshall posed a lot of problems for anybody they play against, and certainly with us, we're going to have to do a great job of guarding their three-point shots and guarding their penetration and guarding their transition, because they are very skilled. They're very free-flowing offensively and playing with a lot of confidence. So certainly a great challenge, and I hope our guys are going to be up to it.
Seems like all the teams, I mean, if you end up winning the regular season, you've played all these top teams with you guys twice. So obviously you're going to feel like you guys have really earned it if you win. You hadn't skipped anybody or played them once, it seems like.
Well, the fact that we've won some tough road games has been a huge positive. The game at Marshall was really a highly contested game, and right at the end, it was still undecided until the last second or two. And so we have a great deal of respect for them, but we have played, like you said, the top teams with Middle and Marshall a couple times after this Thursday, and if we can have some success, it certainly builds confidence, but it also hopefully will prepare us for what lies ahead as well, having played the top teams twice.
We always have fun when you win, but maybe a little bit more fun this year. This team, it seems like there was a lot of energy, especially on the floor against Middle.
There was. The guys were fantastic. They were, the word I've been using a lot this year, but locked in. They were locked in physically and mentally to the game. It's hard to compare one year to the next, but I will say I'm having a ton of fun with these guys. And it's fun because all the guys on the team, all the coaches in the locker room, all the trainers, all the managers are bought into the team's success. And everybody's upbeat and encouraged and happy when the team does well, and not as ecstatic when we struggle. And so when you have that kind of culture around the program, it does make it a lot of fun when you do have success.
Coach, you talked a lot this year about peaking at the right time, peaking come March. You got 4 games left. You feel like you get to that point?
Well, we'll find out. This weekend's going to certainly show how far we've come this year. I think last Sunday was certainly an indication that we are moving in the right direction, and the guys are, knock on wood, for the most part, healthy physically, mentally, and excited for this time of year. We can draw on last year's experiences to understand how important this time of year is, to appreciate how exciting it can be if we play well. And I think we're in a good spot to make a good run right now. And I think the guys are in a good place, again, mentally and physically.
Do you feel like, obviously HaHa has shown he's an inside-outside threat, but is it one of those things where he's just, is he working on one more than the other this year? Is he just trying to become more well-rounded? And how have you seen him, I guess, evolve from the beginning to now?
Well, on both ends of the floor, it's kind of interesting. Defensively, he's been more dominant inside, with his shot blocking, leading the country in shot blocking, and we're really trying to get him out on the perimeter and sliding his feet, which will be a huge challenge for Thursday's game. Offensively, he's been out there picking and popping, shooting a lot of threes, and we're trying to make him go inside more and more because I think he can be so effective in there. It's been a process, but I think with him, the goal is to be a very, very versatile, very complete player. And right now we've been harping on getting to the offensive boards, getting post touches, and finishing inside more, and I think he is developing that part of it.
As a shot blocker, how much can you work on that in practice, or how much of it is just instinct?
A lot of it's instincts. With practice, it's one of the great things we have in practice is our second five, or the guys on the gold team right now, are very, very good. And so whoever's on the court, they're always challenged in practice, and we'll switch up teams quite a bit. And every practice is very competitive. And so with all the guys, they're in game situations day in, day out. And so including HaHa with the block shots, it certainly starts with his instincts and abilities, but I think he is able to have our guards go in there, and when they're off balance, like Robert Brown has a tendency to do, HaHa does a great job blocking those shots.
One of the cliches of basketball is your point guard has to be a coach on the floor. It's cliche. Does it apply to Nick?
Absolutely. And when you talk about leadership, there's a lot of different ways you can talk about that as well. There's vocal leadership, and I'm probably the guy that's most vocal on the team, and I think they kind of lean on me for that. But in terms of having a presence out there and having a steadying effect and having quality play, in a lot of ways he has led the team, and the guys feed off of the things he does.
I know your position probably lends itself to bias, but as objectively as we can, why shouldn't the Conference USA regular season champ get in over maybe the 7th place team in a Power 5 conference, in your mind? Is there an argument that can be made one way or another?
Well, I think that's a big can of worms. If you ask me, at the end of the day, right now, if we're good enough to be in the NCAA tournament as an at-large type team, I would say yes. But the way they look at this is with RPI and strength of schedule and all this kind of stuff, and that resume is not going to stack up to those other conferences. And so that's just the reality of the situation. Do I like it? No. Do I think we're good enough to make it as an at-large? Yes. But it's not reality. And so right now, that's as much as I'm going to think about it or talk about it. And with our guys, the reality of the situation is we're going to try and do our best on Thursday and keep it short term as possible. And hopefully that helps us on Saturday. And if Saturday goes well, then we can set ourselves up for the next weekend and then try and make a run in the conference tournament. And so as much as I understand and appreciate the argument, it's not going to occupy my mind.
And you don't have to answer this if you don't want to,
Yeah.
but I mean, is it one of those things, is it just eyeballs? Is it just some teams make it on TV more than other teams, and therefore maybe they get the nod just because they're more recognizable when it comes to Selection Sunday?
I think there's an element of that, but I also think there's a mathematical formula too. When you start talking about strength of schedule, when you start talking about RPI, the Power 5 conferences are going to have stronger strength of schedule, and just the way things work out. And again, when you look at the facts of it this year, it's going to be hard for us to put us in over certain teams. Because, again, the strength of the schedule and the RPI. It doesn't mean we can't improve those this year and see what happens, but at the end of the day, we can focus on it in the offseason and preparing for next year in terms of trying to build those things up. But, when this year comes down to it, it's going to come down to that conference tournament and being ready to go.
And go on with it. Doesn't, if the goal is to make the tournament and winning your league, if you're in a one-bid league, you have to win a tournament to win. Doesn't that diminish in some ways the regular season title?
Yeah, but it adds to the excitement of the conference tournament. I mean, why does everybody love the NCAA tournament? Because we beat Iowa State last year, and it's fun to watch. It's fun TV. It's fun drama, and I think that's the part of it too. As coaches, you always want to have that glimmer of hope that every team that goes to the conference tournament, you still have a chance to go to the NCAA tournament. So, winning the conference tournament, I think if you look at the whole body of work, that's the real definition of how your season went. If you could end up winning a conference championship regular season, that shows you did something over a multi-month time period, where a conference championship and a tournament is a 3-day deal where you do well as well. Both are valuable, both are important. But again, all these hypotheticals are great, but the reality is we're a one-bid league probably this year, and we're going to have to play great in Birmingham in a couple weeks.
What has Robert meant to you guys, to your program and your team over the last 2 years?
He's been a lot of different things. Obviously on the court, his scoring, his leadership, his assist turnover ratio is great this year. His defensive savvy, his experience, all those things have been fantastic. Off the court, his presence in terms of, you guys know he's an unbelievable interview. He's well spoken. He's a great ambassador to the program, and both of those two things I think are second in terms of his importance to his attitude towards UAB and the success of the team. He's a senior this year, and not once was there an indication that this is my team, this is my time to shine, this is my time to prepare for my future. It was all about UAB and the UAB basketball team this year. And that's something more than anything else I'll remember about him, is that he put the team in front of himself. And the nice part is he's had a heck of a year and a heck of a career here as well. But I think that's something we talk about in recruiting, we talk about with the team, we talk about this program, is put the UAB program first, and then individually you're going to have some success as well. But he's been the guy that has really led the way with that, and a lot of the other guys have followed.
When you have a guy that, sometimes you'll put him on, a smaller guy to use his length, and the other day you put him on upshot, who's more of an, inside, more of a drive the basket guy. When you have that versatility from one guy, how much easier does that make the defensive game planning type thing?
Well, it's good. It gives you options. And with Robert, you have a guy with a great deal of savvy, and he has the ability, like we just said, to guard bigger players, at times to guard smaller players, and can use his savvy, his athletic ability, and his experience to take different situations and be successful. And then when you're looking at it as a whole, the defensive game plan does become easier because you have options and put other people in different positions as well.
Compliment you?
Yeah, it's a little weird listening to him because I get yelled at a little more than compliments, but it's always good.
It's just like practice, though. He's saying all those nice things at practice, and you guys are in drill too,
Oh,
right?
definitely.
When you see blocking shots and then making threes, and literally kind of being everywhere on both ends. I'm sure you see it all the time in practice. Just how unique is that in terms of maybe teammates you've had? A guy who really, in some ways, can kind of do it all.
I don't think I've ever had AAU, high school, anybody on a team that's quite like HaHa. His ability to play on a perimeter and to play inside offensively and then defensively, he's a complete game changer. And as a perimeter defender, you have so much trust that if you do get beat, if you're putting too much pressure on the ball, that people are either A, scared to go down there and knowing he's down there, or he's going to alter the shot in some way. So he just gives me somebody, and everybody, especially on the perimeter, somebody that you can rely on down there.
Coach talked a little bit about the importance of peaking at the right time. Where do you feel like this team is in kind of that progression?
I think, especially with last week, having a lot of time to rest and kind of get ready for that middle game, that we've started making a lot of strides to get where we want to. I don't think we're there quite yet, but Coach and the rest of the coaches have done a great job of pushing us and preparing us. And I know this week, next week, and getting into the tournament, they're going to get us to a spot mentally, physically, where I think we'll be ready to go.
You just heard us talk about the importance of the regular season and how, in some ways, in reality, the goal is to make the tournament, conference tournament, carries a heck of a lot more weight. With that in mind, how much do you feel like this team wants to get that regular season championship?
As far as I go, I like to speak to the guys and say that they do want it, but I know personally it's a huge goal, and it's the only one right now I'm really focused on. Get these next 2 wins and finish out at Bartow, and then finish the regular season strong and get that, and from there move on and kind of transition to solely focusing on winning the conference tournament and going on to the NCAA.
Is there any frustration with the great season y'all have had that you haven't had a sellout yet?
As far as in Bartow? No, not at all. We've had great crowds, great student sections, and as long as we come and we focus on the guys that are on the bench and in our locker room, we don't really care who's in the crowd.
Yeah, it was a very physical game, which we enjoy. We had that long week off, and we were just ready to come out and play our hardest and play our best. And we needed to play a full 40 minutes on the road. That's one of the things we've been trying to work towards, and we did that on Sunday and came out there with a win.
You got a guy like HaHa protecting the rim,
Mhm.
paint. How does that change your mindset as a perimeter defender?
It makes my job a lot easier. I can get out there and pressure more than usual, just because I know if he gets by me, then I got HaHa, Tosa, and Chris back there, and they make up a lot of work for us.
I don't know if the word is swagger, but I mean, there's a different confidence to this team this year. I mean, maybe it's the same kind of cast of characters for the most part it was last year, but there's a different feel this year, isn't there?
Yeah, definitely. We're just more comfortable with each other. Another year under our belt. We're just having fun. We're enjoying the moment and just trying to play our best at any time we step on the floor.
Last time you guys played Marshall, it was certainly a close game, a hard-fought game. Is that something you expect to see when you play them again Thursday?
Yeah, we're ready for it. It was a really fun game, good atmosphere, but I bet Bartow will be a better atmosphere than it was at Marshall. And it's going to be a really fun game. We're going to put on a show for everyone to come out.
In your mind, what has Robert meant to this program and this team in the last couple of years?
Just a really good person to look up to on and off the floor, to make sure everybody's in line. He does a good job getting on us when we're not doing things we're supposed to be doing. And just a good leader on the floor. We can always trust him with a big shot. And he's just one of those guys that you're glad he's on your team.
Speaking of big shots, is he the kind of guy that always, when it gets down, that shot he hit against Iowa State, that type of shot, does he look for the ball during those times, or does he tell you to get him the ball those times?
Yeah, I think that's just the person he is. He's really good under pressure. We see it in practice, open gym, and big games. It's just a guy that we can look towards in those moments, and we have full trust in him taking those shots. And it goes for everybody. We just have a trust between each other that is on an all-time high, or I don't think it will ever be broken.
What was it really like to play big last week?
No, he's a very high character guy, and I've talked to him off the court, on the court. Obviously, we've had a few private conversations, and he always is like a motivation type of person, and he always has good things to say. And To back what Nick said is just the person he is. He's always willing to take the big shot or step up big for us or lead us in the way that we're supposed to go. And I just feel like overall he's just a great guy. You can't complain about much. So he's a good guy to me.
Is it hard for him, do you think, being the only senior on this team? Do a lot of guys go to him or look to him? And how tough do you think that is for him if that's the case, and he's the only senior like that?
I mean, yeah, a lot of people do go to him, but I feel like we take the load off of him somewhat because we have players that's been here and, you know, that has experience, and we trust each other enough that we can talk to each other. But, I mean, I can say it probably is kind of a lot of pressure being only senior because when things get hard or things get tough, then people, you know, look at Robert Brown, and so I can see where it can get tough. But we try to help them out as a team and stay together.
Do you feel like the Middle Tennessee State game was kind of an example of what you guys can do when you're hitting on all cylinders or close to it?
Yes, I do. We had a long week of practice, and we were just talking about playing how we know we can play, you know, and hitting that stride that we know we need to hit because the conference is getting ready to end, the tournament is getting ready to start, and all week Coach just talked about, you know, just playing as hard as we can and doing what we can, and the way we came out against Middle is just show what we can do. So I think it was a big step moving ahead for us.
Do you feel like there's a true importance on winning the regular season championship in Conference USA?
Yes, I mean, I do. I feel like it's a good accomplishment, you know. Any accomplishments that you can achieve it's always great. So I feel like it's a pretty good accomplishment to know going into the conference tournament, hey, that we just won the regular season conference, and I mean, it gives you that edge. So I think it is something important.
How much do you think that extended time off will help pass the Middle game?
A lot. You know, it's been a long season. We've been playing a lot, Thursday, Saturday, and that time off is good for people's bodies, you know, and I think it'll help us out in the long run.